What's up, y'all? This is Wax, coming to you live from my studio in North Hollywood, which I will be actually leaving at the end of this month. But it's not really even a studio; it's a rehearsal space. It's like a room that looks like you walk down the hallway, it looks like a hotel, but each door is a rehearsal space. So it's like bands, DJs, producers, rappers, but it's mostly bands. So if you hear like noise in the background, I apologize for that because it's just some band practicing in another room. But anyway. This is the first podcast that I've ever done. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but I want to start doing podcasts. I've been listening to some podcasts, and I think that I would have the ability to do it. So I don't know when this is going to come out yet because I have no fucking clue how to put out a podcast, like what site to use or where you upload it and stuff like that. But I'm going to try to, once I get it out, whatever day I put this out on, I'll probably say that that's going to be the day every week that I'm going to do a podcast. Because I take breaks in the studio and I just think about dumb shit. And I think I got some stories that happened to me in regular life and in, the music industry world and shit like that are interesting to tell. So I think that people might actually be interested in this shit or whatever. But yeah, so I'm in my rehearsal space, taking a break from writing this song. And that's, like I said, that's why you can hear shit in the background. But I'm actually going to be gone at the end of this month because my rehearsal space is in North Hollywood, and I'm moving to Venice. For those not familiar with Los Angeles, Venice Beach, famous area with Muscle Beach and the fucking skate park on the beach and all kinds of shit, the boardwalk. I will be living there. I just secured a place there. Be living in a one-bedroom apartment like 7 blocks from the beach, walking distance. So I'll be doing my thing down there. It was a great experience looking for a place because the first place I looked at was real close to the beach. Now, if any of you guys have ever been to Venice Beach, you've seen like the typical Venice Beach like creature. We call them critters. Like me and all my friends in San Diego call these people critters. But no offense to them as people. It's just like a critter is like a homeless meth head that kind of just creeps around. He creeps around like in alleyways. You might see him in a dumpster, maybe on a bike with like a bag of cans attached to it. But he's not like a your typical like slothy homeless guy. It's the more energetic, like really hardworking, really fast moving homeless guy. And anyway, I got to the first place I was going to look at. It was kind of expensive anyway because it was close to the water, but when I walked in there, this guy came up to me and he was like, "You here to look at the apartment?" And I thought he was just some kind of fucking swindler because he looked like one of these critters. I mean, this dude literally had open sores on his face, like several open bleeding scabs on his face. He was wearing a fucking weight belt, like those lower back weight belts. He was wearing one of those, and then he had like old Reebok classics that had like paint and shit on them. Anyway, he didn't look like the dude that would be showing me the place. But he said, "What apartment are you here to see?" So my immediate thing is, who is this guy and how's he trying to fucking swindle me? So my mind goes, all right, well, you just ask him real quick. You just ask him a question to see if he's real. So I was like, "What apartment number are you talking about?" And he immediately said apartment 6, which is the one I was looking at. And I was like, all right, I don't know. So we opened the door. We went up and looked at the place. And the place was whatever. It was kind of cool, but kind of real small and too inexpensive. But the thing that made me not want to do it is I didn't want this dude to have a key to my house. He was the guy that actually lived there. I don't know how he affords to live there. Maybe he got in, was renting cheap, or maybe I'm judging a book by his cover and that dude fucking owns fucking Apple stock or something like that. But maybe he's just starting his descent into meth, which is a really fast descent, so I wish him well. But that's even more of a reason that I didn't want that dude to have a key to my house. Like, he was a dude that lived in apartment 1, and it was like the on-site property manager. And it was sad too, because you could tell, no homo, but you could tell that he like used to be like a good-looking dude before whatever happened to him. And in my head, the whole time he was talking to me and showing me the kitchen and the closets and shit, I was calling him Matthew McConaughey in my head. So I guess that's funny. It was funny in my head at the time, like I was kind of chuckling. But basically, I left there and I went and saw another place that was a little further away from the water, and I fucking loved the place. So I'm gonna be moving there at the end of the month. Not that any of you give a flying fuck. But what else happened to me while I was there? I had an interesting experience while I was there in Venice. I had to go send a couple T-shirts off at the post office, So I was like, fuck it, I'll just go to this local post office while I'm down there. There was one in Marina del Rey, which is another town down in that area by Venice and Santa Monica and all those places on the western end of, I guess it's still considered Los Angeles. Anyway, excuse me. The interesting thing that happened to me in the post office was when I got up there, there was two lines open. There was only a few people in the post office. The line was real short. But when I got up there, there was me and my postal attendant, who happened to be like a really pretty girl. You don't usually see that at the post office really a lot. But next to me in the other line was this old British lady, and something happened where her package didn't get delivered. You know, some kind of fucking standard postal issue that people have, and they get way too pissed about it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was something worth it. But the funny thing about it was, she used her like bad experience at the post office, like her package getting lost. Like she started to build up in frustration. Like I could barely even pay attention to me like the person dealing with my packages, because I was so interested in this British lady next to me. She kept building and building and building her argument until her argument about the fucking package was actually like this anti-America rant. Like she started talking about how bad the service was by the person she was talking to. Then she starts talking about how bad the post office is, and then it somehow worked into this thing about how terrible America is and how just shitty anything that we try to do, our postal system being where it started. But I mean, by the time she was finished, she was talking, I mean, she was using politicians' names, talking about, I don't know, it's crazy. I don't even know if that's funny either. Probably fucking isn't, but it was funny to see it. I wish I could do an impression. I can't do a fucking impression of an old British lady, so I'm not gonna fucking try. What else? What else has happened to me recently? Oh, this is something I was thinking about the other day. This has happened to me at least 2 times that I can remember. One time when I lived in North Hollywood, and one time, the time that it happened recently. I don't know why I'm talking about this either, but I feel like everywhere I live in LA, it's true. Everywhere I've lived so far in Los Angeles, I've been walking distance, very close walking distance to a 7-Eleven. That's probably because there's a 7-Eleven on almost every corner in this city, but I happen to be walking distance to it. And a funny thing that happens when you're walking distance to 7-Eleven, at least in my mind it's funny, when you're at your house and you have to take a shit really bad, and you go to take a shit and you discover, luckily before you actually sit down and actually take the shit, you discover beforehand that there's no toilet paper. Somebody trying to come up in my room and shit, get the fuck out of here. You discover that there's no toilet paper. And so you do it. If you got to go bad enough, you got to go. So you take a quick brisk. Yo. Sorry about that. That was the guy that runs this place showing this studio space that I'm in to a 3-piece band. Nice gentleman. But which they just kind of rolled in like it wasn't shit. But what the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah. So you find out there's no toilet paper left. You take your brisk walk to 7-Eleven, and you go to the back. You get 1 roll of toilet paper, and then you go up to the front desk. And the reason I think this is funny is anytime you're at 7-Eleven and you're buying 1 roll of toilet paper, when you look that fucking cashier guy in the face and he looks back at your face, he knows that right then, at that exact moment, you got to take a shit really, really bad. And the 2 times that I can remember, once in North Hollywood and here in West Hollywood, like I felt like I could feel that when they looked at me. Like I feel like they were looking at me like, okay, this motherfucker's got a shit. Maybe should I fuck with him? Should I take some time? Should I wait a little while before I sell him the toilet paper? I don't really think that they think it like that, but I don't know. I can tell that they know, you know? So that's my story about that. That's the greatest story you've ever heard. So there's no way I'm going to ever be able to top that. What else? I wrote a little some ideas for time. Okay. Today, as I'm making this right now, I just put out I don't know when this podcast is going to come out, but I just put out a video today called I Ain't a Real Man. And I had some people kind of hit me up trying to ask where the inspiration from that song was. And I'm going to tell you what the inspiration from that song was. Uh, I live a fucking lifestyle where I don't have to have a 9 to 5 job. And luckily, I make enough money off of the various stupid shit I do that I don't have to have a 9 to 5 job. I usually work from home, if you could call what I do work. But I try to step my game. I'm trying to step my game up as far as just actually being productive and shit. And I've been productive recently, but I'm saying like, even the actual work I do, it's questionable that it's actual work. Anyway, so oftentimes I'll leave my apartment, at fucking 11:30 or noon in my flip-flops to walk to 7-Eleven and get my coffee because I just started my day. And when I get out there, I mean, even sometimes it might be earlier at like 10. But when I get out there, they've been doing construction on my apartment building for a while. And I get out there every day and I see these dudes, most of them like, mid-40s Mexican dudes. Most of them don't speak English. Not that has to really do with anything in particular. It could have been any race of people or whatever, but that's just who happens to be there at my spot. And if you walk out of there at 10 a.m., like they're not getting they're eating lunch at 10 a.m. Like they've been up since 5. You know what I'm saying? And I just see that shit and I'm just like, man, these dudes are real. These dudes are out here shoveling, doing physical labor. They're covered in fucking dirt, sweating as hot as shit outside. And I used to do work like that, man. I used to do construction work, and I did landscaping for a while too. I've done a host of jobs. I could go into that later, maybe tell you about some of the jobs I've done. But I don't know. You just start to think. It kind of puts it back into perspective. First of all, it makes you think. You know what? I should stop bitching about anything that's going on in my life because I could be doing real work like these dudes. And second of all, it makes you appreciate more. Once you kind of are doing your dream job or whatever, you see people that are doing not their dream job, and it kind of makes you appreciate it more, It's kind of like when you see a homeless person and you appreciate the fact that you have a house, or you see somebody that can't walk. It kind of makes you appreciate the fact that your legs are, in operation, fully operational legs. That's the name of my next comedy special. But anyway. The fuck else do you talk about on these things? Maybe I should start having guests so I don't just talk to myself like I'm some kind of fucking lunatic, loony bin. Whoa. Had to cut it off right there. I got a fucking, text message or whatever, and it was so fucking important. It was the most important text message I've ever gotten. It was about... I'm not gonna tell you what it was about. It was unimportant. I was trying to be sarcastic. But so yeah, as far as I ain't a real man, I've had a lot of jobs, so I can appreciate hard labor. And I don't mean to say that if you're doing a job that isn't hard labor, like a fucking dude with a shovel or a coal miner or something like that, I'm not disrespecting that. I've had office jobs too, and I actually enjoyed the physical labor jobs way more than I enjoyed the office jobs. Now that I think about it, so I'm not hating. I'm not hating by any means. That shit is actually worse. At least you can see, at the end of the day, you can see that you dug a big ass hole. You can see you planted some trees, and you can see the steps that you just built. If you just sit there all day faxing shit and doing shit that's kind of just like the fucking fat dude Milton from the movie Office Space. You're going to end up burning the building down like he did, or at least being depressed about menial things such as, I used the word menial twice recently. Well, now I've used it 3 times. Menial things 4 times, such as your stapler being missing. Hold on. So yeah, I've worked a lot of jobs, man. I did construction in San Diego. We built concrete countertops. I've had a lot of delivery jobs. That's my favorite kind of job. My favorite kind of job has always been delivery. I worked at a place called Yummy here in LA where they deliver groceries. I worked there for a year. I've worked at Domino's in Maryland. I've worked at a place called New York Deli in Maryland. I worked as a courier in Maryland where I just drove around. I was actually in Virginia, Maryland, and DC, all over the place, just driving random shit to random people. But my point is that's my favorite kind of job because as a musician, and as a person who doesn't like bosses that are always on your back, it's nice to just be by yourself all day. You're pretty much just by yourself in the car. You can listen to music. And, unfortunately for people such as myself, an advantage of those kind of jobs is you can smoke cigarettes all day. I'm trying to quit now, but I say that all the time. But that's another advantage to those jobs. I've always loved delivering shit. Unfortunately, and fortunately, I'm not saying it was fortunate in that I was drinking and driving, but I got a DUI here in Los Angeles, which made me lose my job at Yummy, the place where I was delivering groceries at. And while it's unfortunate that I got a DUI, I had to pay a bunch of money, and I was endangering fucking other people, it was actually valuable because ever since then, I don't drink and drive anymore. And also losing that job kind of made me focus and hustle on some shit. That was actually right around the time, if any of you guys remember this, a few years back, I won a contest with A1 steak sauce for a little video I made. And I needed to win that contest. Like, if I hadn't have won that contest, I would have fucking got kicked out of my crib. I would have lost it all. I won $5,000, and I swear that was one of the happiest days of my life. I've made way bigger since then. I got a record deal once, and I got a much bigger check than that. And I did not feel as happy as I did when I got that $5,000 because I fucking worked my ass off to win that shit. I did so much promotion and so much time. And like the feeling of achievement when I won that $5,000 and how badly I needed the $5,000 was fucking crazy. It was gone when I got it. I was behind on every bill I had. But yeah, that was crazy. So you know what the worst job? There's two worst jobs I've had. The two worst jobs I've ever had. Three. I'll give you three. The first one was actually one of my first jobs. I worked at McDonald's when I was younger. And I probably worked there for like 5 or 6 months, and it was fucking terrible. I worked 6 days a week. This was when I was in high school, so the main time I was working was during the summer. So I worked 6 days a week, and every 7th day at 6 a.m. or earlier, they would call my house, and my mom would answer the fucking phone. And for the first couple times, they call on the 7th day. They call and say they needed somebody to work. And for the first couple weeks, my mom would answer the phone because I wasn't awake that early on my one day off a week. And she'd always say, yeah, he'll come in, and then wake me up. My parents were all about us working. But after a while, I just told her, like, look, I'm a high school kid. I'm not. I need to do something with my summer other than work at McDonald's. I mean, working at McDonald's is terrible. Anybody who's ever worked there will tell you that. I mean, maybe not some people, maybe not the managers and the people. Some people take that shit differently. If you, I don't. I guess it depends on how you take it. People that really want to actually work their way to the top of the McDonald's food chain. Whoa, that was a cool double meaning. The top of the food chain, but it's actually a fucking food chain, like a restaurant food. It's a chain of restaurant, but you work yourself to the top of the food chain. That's a double meaning right there. Rappers can write that down, and you don't have to credit me. You can take credit for that yourself. But it sucks. You don't ever sit down, and you're constantly like, where I worked, it was straight gender. It was like, if you were a girl, you worked at the register. If you were a dude, you worked in the back cooking shit. I know that's changed a little bit, but when I worked there, that's how it was. Everything's real hot, and people are always yelling at you, and it's crazy. Then one day I just fucking quit. I'll tell you about when I quit. If you want to know how fucking weird and small the town I grew up in it was, when McDonald's came to the town, there was like a big grand opening celebration, which, by the way, was where my band, I was in a band called McGregor. At that time, it was just me and my brother and my boy Frazier. We were 15, and when the McDonald's opened in our town, they actually had a grand opening celebration where they had a truck. My brother has footage of our show with this shit. I'm not bullshitting you. They had a truck that folds out, and our 3-piece little rock funk band did like 45-minute set. It was our first show ever, and we basically opened for like people dressed as like Grimace and the Hamburglar and Ronald McDonald and shit like that. Like, if you watch the footage, you can actually, if you remember, Grimace is the big purple fucking monster. You can actually see him dancing next to the stage. And my band fucking was the only band that played there. And we have footage of it. We should put it out. Anyway, that was before I was 16, because you had to be 16 to work there. So when I was 16 and I started working there, the day I quit, this is another reason why the town I came from is small and weird. I've never heard of this before, and when I tell people this, they don't even fucking believe me. But the McDonald's where I worked at every Sunday had an all-you-can-eat buffet. There was a like, you know, when you go into McDonald's and how the line forms, like if the line was taking up the whole lobby, where the end of the line would be, you know, parallel to the counter, but like 10 feet or you know, 15 feet far from the counter, like at where the end of the line would be, there was a buffet, all-you-can-eat buffet. You could pay one price. And they would basically serve everything that'd be on like those fucking big breakfast platters. You know, there'd be pancakes, or hot cakes, I'm sorry. They'd have like the circular eggs that you'd have on a McMuffin, which by the way are real eggs, at least when I worked there. People say they're not real egg, but you'd have a like a cookie cutter looking thing, and you just crack an egg and put it in there. So unless they've changed their ways of doing things, McDonald's breakfast is served with real eggs. Like for the scrambly ones that aren't like the Egg McMuffin circle ones, like you fucking just break eggs and scramble them. So unless they've changed their ways, they're real eggs. So you'd have the circle eggs, the scrambled eggs, the sausage patties, just like they had everything is just like the sandwich, the circle joints, and the fucking pieces of Canadian bacon, the little ham things that they have on Egg McMuffins. But if you're basically like one of the tasks, which is a fucking difficult task, because especially because my town that I grew up in was small, Sunday at McDonald's was fucking crazy. You'd have all the families in there. Everybody would be dressed like, you know, everybody would just went to church. It's a Christian area, you know what I'm saying? So you'd have like your black families where, like, not to be stereotypical, like maybe the dude had like kind of like a flashier jacket than some of the white families that went to the white churches. But it'd just be a mixture of mad people that were all fresh from church. And the whole place was full. So like one task that took a long ass time and what, you know, just constant work was refilling that buffet. And on this particular Sunday, like 3 people called out and I was the only motherfucker in the back, like the only person. And, you know, there's the drive-through, there's all the people ordering at the front, and there's the buffet, and I'm the one dude. I'm doing all the deep fryer shit. I'm doing all the grill shit. I got to make sure everything's kept up. I'm actually assembling sandwiches, and it was crazy, man. And it was just chaos. And there was no way mathematically that I could move fast enough or cook food fast enough by myself to fulfill, you know, what was needed there. And I just remember, I can see her fucking face right now. There's this older woman who was like one of those like older ladies that's like nice, but like you can tell her niceness is some fake niceness, because in reality she's just like the kind of old lady that still has to work at McDonald's and is just as bitter at everybody. So she came back and she looked at me and she's like, "Can't you go any faster?" And I gave her like that look. I wish I could like be on camera right now. I gave her that look like, "What, bitch?" And I didn't even leave at the moment. I knew I was gonna fucking leave, but I didn't leave at the exact moment because I wanted to wait till she couldn't see me, so it was like a surprise on some like, where's Mike at? Where'd he go? So as soon as she went back in like the little office, I literally did one of the throw your hat on the ground thing, and I just walked the fuck out. I walked right through all the people that were out front. They all looking at me like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Because they're all fucking upset because everybody's taking forever to get the food. The buffet's empty. It's taking forever to get their food, and they see that one guy's back there, and they see me do the hat throw, and I walk right through them. It's like it reminds me of the one time I got kicked off stage and there was no backstage, and I had to be embarrassed and walk right through the crowd. It was just like that. But I walked through them, and I lived in, it was a long walk, but I lived in walking distance from the McDonald's, and I just walked the fuck home. And I think I shipped them, I didn't even go in there again, I shipped them my McDonald's outfit back. But that was a crazy, don't underestimate working at McDonald's, man. That's not an easy job. That job sucks really bad. Not that any of you out there, if there is any of you out there that are even still listening to this, not that any of you out there were mad by what I just said, and you were like, you know, I don't even know what I'm saying. You wouldn't have been mad when I said that McDonald's sucks. It's not like there's people out there that work at McDonald's and they really, not that I would think, maybe there is, that want to just defend it really bad. Maybe if you own a McDonald's or own the whole McDonald's, if you are Mr. McDonald or whoever fucking started that shit. But yeah, that was one of my 3 bad jobs. Let's go chronologically. My second job that's tied for worst job is if you remember when the height of the fucking, if you guys remember, there was a housing crash, like the housing market crashed pretty much around the whole country. And that was all based on these bullshit, some of y'all might not remember this, but probably 8 years ago, there was a, like when you would watch TV, every other commercial would be about refinancing your house. There was a million companies that just like got in on this refinancing boom. Like people were making mad money because you charge points on this stuff. You charge people to refinance their house. Like, you know, if you don't know what refinancing a house is, if somebody's house is worth $3,000 and they only owe $200,000 on it, they can take out $50 and now they owe $250,000, and to them it's like, holy shit, I just got $50,000 cash, you know. So it's really easy to convince some people to refinance their house, and some people really shouldn't have been refinancing their house. And what really fucked the whole thing up is houses were what's that word when you appraised? Houses were appraised at way more than they're actually worth. So after a while, the prices were going down and down and down, and people started to owe more than their house was actually worth. But anyway, that's besides the point. I worked at one of those companies. I had a boy who was working at it. It was called USA Home Loans in Baltimore, Maryland. My boy Greg Wickline, shout out to him. I guess I shouldn't say people's first and last names on here, but whatever. Maybe I can edit that out. But this place was fucked up. Like this was like some hustle shit. Like this wasn't like some people that were like, you know, Wall Street, Harvard, whatever people. These were people that like found out how to do this shit, and they're good ass salesmen. They opened up an office and they just got as many people in there as they could to just make phone calls all fucking day. Cause like if you did one refinance in, you know, 2 weeks, that would be making everybody money, yourself and them and everybody. But the thing is, it was just so fucking shady. It was the most unethical business practice of all time. Like everything you did was meant to fool the person into buying the shit. Like, and everybody there was just fucking constantly hustling. The kind of people that are real money motivated. You know, everybody, like, they make a sale and they'd come in the next day with a new watch. And there was several. Let me put it this way: picture a room full of cubicles. Like a telemarketing office that you would picture, a room full of cubicles, like a call center. It looked like a call center. It's not even cubicles. It's more like study carrels. It was like study carrels at a library. Everybody making phone calls. The company would send out these fucking letters, and they'd send out like 1 million letters, like junk mail, you know, and the letter would look like it was from the government. And people would call the number because they thought they were getting some kind of refund, but there was no refund. What you do is they call you, and then you read a script and you try to steer them based on that into refinancing their house. And it was the most crooked bullshit of all time. And what I was gonna say is, several times in that office there were fist fights in the office. I've never seen that in any other job that I've worked at in the office before. I've never seen a fist fight. And in that place I saw several in the office. That's how crazy it was. But it was just super unethical. And call me fucking a bleeding heart or whatever, but I'm not going to fucking call some old lady and make her think that she's getting a good deal when in reality in 2 years her interest rate's going to go so fucking high and her payment's going to be so large that there's no way she'll be able to afford it. Because that's pretty much what actually happened. That's why the housing shit got fucked up and people couldn't pay their loans and all those foreclosures, because you make these, you know, whatever. I'm not going to bore you with that bullshit. Third worst job was actually the last real job I had. And my friend got me this job because she was a manager at this place, and I have no problem with that. The money was needed at the time, but basically I worked at a retail place in a mall. It was a clothing store. You know, I won't say the exact name, but it was like the name of a person. It was in the Beverly Center. It's kind of like imagine like working at the Gap or some shit. So I basically like stocked shit in the back, which didn't bother me because, like I said earlier, I like to be the fuck away from people, and I don't like bosses bothering me and shit like that. But at the end, sometimes like they'd want me to like go out on the floor and like sell clothes to people, and it was just stupid because it was kind of a high-end store, and people would walk in there looking all fashionable and shit, and they'd be like, so which tie should I get? And in my head, I'm just like looking at the dude like, dude, you know better than me. You fucking know what tie you should get so much more than I know what tie you should get. Don't, like, that's what I wanted to say to him, but what I actually said was just like, go ask her. Go ask somebody else. And I never made one fucking sale there, so they just kept me in the back. And the boss was such a bitch, and I quit that in kind of a mean way. But she deserved it because she was a fucking cunt. And anybody that would work there would tell you that too. So, what else can I talk about here? See, I have a couple of things written down, but they're all so random. You know what? This is what we'll do. This is my first one of these podcasts. Maybe in the future, sometimes I'll get some guests and stuff like that, so it won't just sound like me ranting and talking about some bullshit. But hit me up if y'all enjoy this. Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter and let me know if you even enjoy this. And this is my first time ever doing this, just talking like this. So I promise I'll try to get better and be more organized and shit like that. But hit me up on Twitter @BigWax. Let me know if you're interested in me doing more of these podcasts. And also let me know if you got any questions or if there's anything you want me to address or any random fucking things that are going on in the world that you want me to talk about. Because I'd be more than happy to. That would make my job easier. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess we could get out with that. Hopefully this fucking show isn't boring. That's what me and my brother say. We just make fun of each other by saying that. It doesn't make any sense at all. But we always say boring. You gotta sing it like you can say it like you're a fucking like a show tune singer, like you just did Phantom of the Opera, not Phantom of the Opera, maybe something more upbeat, but like one of those show tunes, like the way the dudes on South Park do it with fucking so bad, but like boring. It does all motherfucking boring. That was terrible. That was fucking terrible. But what I got on my list? My list is stupid. I was gonna say make fun of sneakerheads. I know people, I don't have any problem with people. I like shoes too, man. I got a bunch of Vans and shit at my house, but there's people I follow on Instagram that are just so all they care about is their fucking shoes. They're dudes, and they have a million pairs of Nikes, and that's all they fucking give a shit about. Every picture is like, what shoe am I wearing today? I don't get it. I don't understand that. Can somebody hit me up on Twitter and ask me tell me what the point of that is? I don't fucking get it, how you can be that dedicated to shoes. Dudes talking about how they spend thousands of dollars in a month on shoes. I don't even know how. That's like another rent payment and more. But I always think like how crazy it is, and I had a song that kind of addressed this. I saw a song. If you haven't seen it, go look for a song I did called "Need." Kind of addresses like how crazy people are for like these weird like just materials. And you know, I understand people like shoes and all that shit, but like people get shot and trampled when they go to get the shoes. Some people, if they're wearing tight shoes, somebody else will shoot them. I always wonder like I always wondered if you shoot somebody for their shoes, like do you ask what size shoe they wear before you shoot them, or do you just kind of like size his feet up, take a look at him and be like, yeah, he looks like about a 10.5, and then you fucking pop him, and then you fucking take the shoes off like, damn, too small. So that's a question to anybody out there who's ever shot somebody for their sneakers. Did you ask the guy what size they were first, or maybe you had like a secret way, maybe you like secretly put one of those things that are at a shoe store that measures your feet under his foot when he wasn't looking or something. I don't know, but it just would suck to commit murder and then the shoes don't even fit. That would suck. But anyway, I think that's about it for this podcast. I think I did all right. Let me know on Twitter. I have no idea if this is good or not. I'm just rambling. But I'm going to get more organized. I'm going to be funnier. I'm going to be more interesting. And it's going to be the shit. Wax's Podcast. I don't even have a fucking name for it. I think I'll call it like Studio Break or something like that. Wax's Studio Break Podcast. Or you know what? I'm just going to call it Wax's Podcast. Maybe I'll even get like a website or an email based on that. But for now, just hit me up on Twitter. Let me know if you enjoy this shit. If everybody just says shut the fuck up, I won't even do another one. But if a good amount of people enjoyed it, I'm gonna do them every week, and I'm gonna try to get better and better. I know a lot of interesting people I could have on this shit too, so we'll try to make it happen. All right, y'all.